How to play the New World on Roblox. Step 1, don't die. Step 2, kill people. Step 3, chop logs. Step 4, mine. Step 5, make money and own everyone. That's pretty much how the game works. So there I was, just minding my business outside the safe zone, and bang, I get shot, and then I realize that there's a native and I have to shoot back, but I miss again, and then I have to bandage myself. Oh god. And I failed to bandage about twice, and I'm able to bandage myself up, alright? Like, I'm a decent PvPer. Don't judge me on the fact that I failed to quick bandage like 4 times in a row and my gun wasn't even loaded on the second try. But hey, there's another one. So I point my blunderbuss, I shoot one down, the next one rolls up. I shoot him once with a duel, but I miss the second shot, and then I switch out my gun again. I try to shoot him, I miss because my aim sucks. I go up with the cutlass, I try to swing at him once, he almost kills me with a knife, but I get him, and I start looting, and the loot is mine. So basically, when you're starting to play the New World, combat is one of the greatest scenarios you can possibly be in, because looting is generally the fastest way to make money, although it is the riskiest. Now there's multiple ways to make money, from lumber felling, mining, fishing, making gates, which is essentially mining and lumber felling, and then also of course looting, which is one of the primary methods. Now, as you can see, I just bandaged the kid up to pretty much ask him, and I will ask him here in a minute, why was he attacking me? Because let's just say this wasn't the first time I got this clip. I'm blaming this on you, Steven. Now, I don't know if there's a Steven watching this, but yeah, you're taking the blame for this one, alright? So yeah, like right before the entire tutorial, we're gonna get into how to sell an item. You scroll down in the general shop and you click sell. You can put the amount of items you want to put there, and I've been asked this question by about 99% of new players, so that is how you sell items. Go to any store, scroll down, and sell. Genius. So I have covered this in my other videos, but the primary ways to make money are basically gold mining, fishing with the swift fishing rod, hunting, looting, and also crafting the reinforced gates in the game. So these are kind of the primary 5 ways of making money, and I will be covering the majority of them throughout the video. However, I will be going over the main ones, obviously, like, looting, hunting, and for the most part, fishing, which are pretty much the simplest and easiest ones to understand, rather than as well, hunting or gold mining as to exactly how you would have to do that to make a profit at the level. That would be worth it to actually do those. They're all pretty even on pounds. You make about 1,200 to 1,500 every 15 minutes, so essentially 100 pounds a minute is a pretty standard amount to get, unless you get a little more lucky, especially with fishing or gold mining, because obviously more ore drop or rare fish drop, such as shark. So essentially, while you're doing a lot of these tasks and carrying them out, actively you'll make a lot in the game, and because of that, in the New World, one of the basic things, of course, is money. So what I've just described is the understanding of the game. I haven't actually described how to play the game. So in general, the New World is essentially a faction game based in the late 1700s to early 1800s type period, where essentially you join into a large group of people on Roblox, which has an infinite cap, you start ranking up, someone owns it, and generally you go to war. You go to war on this little island board over here, and generally from that you're able to keep doing everything that you need to do to essentially go fight in a trench warfare type scenario with other players and just have a lot of fun while doing that. And also fight for control, obviously, of the entire frontier, or basically grasp what's going on in the game. So that's basically what the game is. However, how to play it is basically grab a pickaxe out of the general store after chopping a few logs, and from there just start making money in any way that you can, that I'll describe throughout the video. From there, I actively recommend joining a faction or some kind of merchant company to actually play the game, or enjoy it on a higher scale, because a lot of people just join the game, they play it for half an hour, 40 minutes, and they never really come back because there's no direct attachment to them for actually playing the game. So I would highly recommend that if you're either in a faction, or you're recruiting to a faction as a member of that faction to rank up, I would recommend doing that, because then the game just grows in general, and also that benefits me, because then more people need my content, and then for you guys, of course, it's just more beneficial because the game's more active, and then it becomes obviously more enjoyable because more people are playing it. So yeah, some of the first things you should be able to understand in the New World on Roblox, obviously, is, hey, how am I going to eat? Now, what you have to do to eat is actively press G in your inventory, and then right-click on any piece of food that you do want to eat. Now, a lot of people forget this, that their hunger bar is going down, and then, of course, as shown, you have to eat to essentially stay alive. If your hunger bar goes to 0, you'll exponentially lose health until you die, or else you bandage yourself and that will heal you a little more until you get that food, or you reset and then you get full hunger and, of course, full warmth. Same with warmth. If warmth goes down to 0, you'll start moving slower, same with hunger. and you'll eventually die if your warmth is at 0, and then of course you'll start losing your health exponentially down to 0, and then you'll die. So understand, of course, maintaining yourself as well as your health is one of the most important parts of the game, and of course making money to keep yourself alive consistently in the game is still pretty important. Now, there is such thing called the bank space, and this is pretty much a guarantee of a permanent item or money in the game, especially for colonists this is useful. For natives, you're actively supposed to store weapons or like extra tools that you have to of course go do like, hunting or mining or stuff like that, because those are a little bit harder to access as a native in general, so I would recommend keeping those on you if you're a native. For colonists, go store your money in there. Alright, you can buy pretty much everything you need in the general store or the illegal dealer, which spawns randomly in the frontier. Usually not all too near the native camp, so you should be pretty good to go grab that and just do what you want to do. So yeah, those are some of the basic ways to kind of understand the start of the game, and moving forward into the more advanced stuff, we do have something we call actively the TNW markets. Now, there are multiple marketplace discords that I'm already in, and that are actually sponsoring an event that I'll mention at the end of the video that I am hosting only in a couple of days. However, of course, the markets are both available to players and through the Discord. Now, there is something called a trading post in the game. This is one of the most useful player items and actually brings in the economic aspect directly in-game rather than just trading through Discord or through chests in-game or through other things. Generally, you can go sell an item by putting it into a trading stand at any price you want to put it in with no maximum or no minimum on what you want to put on the item. So you can trade as much as you want with other players, especially for rare native items that can't be crafted by colonists, or rare items, island hat event items, which are hosted in the Discord, and other things that generally players do want to have, and of course it'll go back in your inventory if you leave the game. The trading post won't, so I'd recommend taking all the items out of the trading post before you leave the game, taking the trading post down so you have all of that into when you move into the next server. However, the items still will save with you, so it is a very safe method as well. If you do manage to crash out of the game, you will still retain your items out of that trading stand as well. And of course, you can make a ton of economic profit in the game by doing this, by being a native, going into the safe zone of the bay, selling items like longbows, short bows, face masks, and other items that of course colonists are going to want at a cheaper price than what will actively be provided by the markets, because you're able to craft them and then go sell it to them. And then you can go store that money in your bank and gradually get rarer and rarer items, and as you join a faction, that becomes exponentially better for you to play the game. Covering, of course, what I'm doing in this video at this point, of course, is fishing. Now, fishing, of course, with a Swift fishing pole, which is sold in the Roblox store for 135 Robux, only benefits by about increasing fishing by about 150 to 170% at the speed, and because of this, it's actually worth it, and is one of the main metas of the game, as I cover in different videos, of making money, because it is very stable. At the very minimum, if you cook the fish before you sell them, they sell for at least 5 to 10 more. So the minimum price that you're going to get for a fish is 25, about every 10 seconds of fishing with a Swift fishing rod. And then at most, that'll sell for 210 if it's going to be a cooked shark, which is the rarest fish at a 0.2% chance, rather than a 25% chance of the lowest fish. Now, because of this and the existence of fishing, primarily people do this in the bay because you can do it in a safe zone, and that does not decrease your rates or increase your rates by being outside the bay to, of course, go fishing. So it's a pretty safe method of making money. Now, looting, of course, being the main method that most people use to go to, because obviously through island events, joining a faction, going to war, and actively in-game you'll be recruited to factions, so it's not this hard to do this. You go to an island board in the game, you go join an island, and there are 5 different islands with a 50 player cap, and they can't be multiple servers, so there's just 250 people maximum out of everyone in the game that can play on this at the same time. However, actively this ends up in like 25v25 trench warfare, where usually a couple people, like usually the lower soldiers that are looting at the end of the battle, will get probably a few £1,000 in game worth of loot, or essentially the heaviest level of supplies off of multiple people in the game, because island respawn times are twice as long, 40 seconds, as to what they are in the frontier. You can make a lot of money doing this, so looting does become the most valuable and also the best method. However, because it is basically a 50-50 or even lower odds of you surviving and getting that loot, it's also one of the riskiest methods in the game. Crafting reinforced gates are actively something that you can do with 9 iron ore, which will craft into 3 bars, as well as 5 logs in the game, making this one of the easier crafts. It does sell for £450 in the general store. It can be done entirely in the safe zone. Also, if you're hopping servers, you can continuously get the iron ore and then continue to make more and more money, which is a pretty basic way to do everything, because £450 about every 10 to 11 minutes basically, and even down to like 4 or 5. It's pretty good at about 1,000 pounds essentially every 10 minutes, which will give you about 6,000 pounds an hour, and is a great way because 1,200 pounds is approximately fully supplied, pretty good to go into battle with, and is probably one of the best methods of doing it safely. However, of course, like I mentioned before, looting is a pretty good method as well as fishing. That'll also make you the money gradually without as much effort. Hunting, of course, very basic method, pretty self-explanatory. Go in the frontier, bring a hunting knife, bring any weapon you want, kill the animals, skin them, get the skins, sell them in the general store. You make money. Varies depending on, of course, the animal, but don't really need to cover that too much in this video. And yeah, of course, the gold mining. You can gold mine deep in the frontier, or you can also do it on Devil's Island, I've heard. Haven't been there yet, can't confirm that. However, I will be covering that in a future video as well. So gold mining, I wouldn't assume would be the greatest method, but if you are doing it with your faction or holding an island, of course, in the middle of one of those trench warfare scenes, it is a little bit of a bonus to make that kind of money for your faction, or at least have 1 to 2 people doing the gold mining, if that's fine with you. So of course that's a little bit of extra money to do that kind of thing with. So yeah, that's generally what you should understand about the basics of the game. Throughout several of my other videos, I also explained that there is a barber shop and that you can buy clothing and other materials in there to keep yourself warm in the game, as well as in the main general store you can get food, you can also cook food, cook fish, and of course you can actively cook any meats that you get out of animals in the frontier from hunting, so sometimes just bringing a hunting knife with you, and of course getting yourself a nicely sized knapsack in the game, essentially a backpack, more of storage, gives you a better chance of surviving and just helps you out in the future of surviving longer periods of time, especially on islands, because if you need to cook and eat your fish, having more bank space and of course having more backpack space can be extremely useful for you in that time if you do need to either retreat and go back to the game, or if you need to go into the battlefield and survive with more time and more food. Now, however we are somewhat late in the video at this point, I did want to explain that on July 3rd and 4th, which is very close to the time of this video releasing, it'll of course be my auction event, which has been announced in the hashtag event announcements in the main Discord. If you guys are interested in that, we'll be selling of course many Robux items as well as Island Hat rarities and pretty much rare items in the game, as I mentioned with the markets, very soon. So if you guys want to be part of that, here's the Discord code, and of course you guys are more than welcome to join into that. It's going to be a very big event hosted on Twitch, which is my Twitch, twitchtv.yakare. And if you guys do want to be around for that, I would love to see you guys there. I really appreciate it. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.